Hey, 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 Teresa here. Hey, if you're catching this replay, just thank you for taking the time to watch it. And if you're live or on the replay, and I'm seeing we're getting some live people showing up, I am just so excited to share with you what I'm going to be sharing with you in this mini webinar. It's probably going to last 25, 30 minutes or so. I'm also really honored and grateful you're here. I know you could be doing other things with your time, but why I'm so glad you're here and why I'm so excited you're here, and I see some viewers hopping on. Hello, everybody. How are you? How are you? Glad you're here. I am excited because I'm going to share with you today what I consider to be the number one pattern, bar none, that robs you of your power around money. It robs you of your power any place, truthfully. And it creates unnecessary struggle and scarcity and pressure and stress for you, okay? So if you're tired of working your butt off, but still never having the money you want and need to live a life you really enjoy, then I've created this webinar for you. If you're tired of the constant pressure, anxiety, or guilt that you feel around money, and that no matter what you do, it's never enough, and believe me, I have been there, then you're the person I had in mind when I created this webinar. If what you're really longing for and have been trying so hard to achieve is a feeling of freedom, of peace of mind, of some confidence when it comes to money, if you want to feel both empowered and powerful with your money and have that be reflected in your bank account, then you're the person I'm speaking to today. You're the person I've created this for. In fact, you're the person I've created all of my Claim Your Money Power programs for. So I am Teresa Romain, and 22 plus years ago, after finding myself in what I call a quagmire of scarcity and debt that my husband and I accumulated in our first attempt to build our own home-based business, I had to learn some things to start to change the trajectory of my life. And from what I started learning back then, I created Access Abundance. And since then, I have had the privilege of being able to support people, perhaps just like you, release the patterns that create financial struggle, dis-ease, and scarcity in their lives. I've also supported them, as I've had to do myself, to let go of patterns of denial. I don't want to know. Shame. Hiding. I don't want anybody else to know. Trying to fix it all by yourselves and not asking for or receiving support. And just like I've had to champion myself to claim my God-given power around money, I've had the privilege of championing the people I've worked with. And why I'm excited you're here is because today I get to support you at least a little in that same way. That's why the principle I've chosen to share in this mini webinar is what I consider to be the number one pattern that robs you of your power around money and keeps you stuck right where you're at, even as you're trying to get out of that place as hard as you can. So let me just check in, make sure everything's going okay. You all following me? Yeah, so here's the thing. If you're serious about wanting to go from financial frustration and really start experiencing freedom, financial freedom, and in case you're worried, you don't have to deprive yourself to do that, then I'm just going to ask you for the next 20, 25 minutes, just stop anything else that you're doing and just tune in right here, be present right here so you can fully grasp what I'm sharing with you, because it is the number one principle, the number one pattern that's going to rob you of your power. And I want you to be able to fully grasp and experience it. Now, I want this to be as interactive as possible today. So I'm going to be inviting you, if you're here on live, to be typing your comments on the replay, type your comments as well. And if you do have questions that I don't answer in this webinar, then just put them in the comments and I'll circle back at the end to make sure I answer them. And just so you know, at the end, I'm going to be sharing with you something extra, some added support that I can offer you in terms of claiming your money power. So I hope you'll stay all the way to the end so you can get all the details about that. So let's get started. How does this sound? Are y'all ready to roll? Yep, I'm seeing some comments. I'm finding some people. Thanks for being here. So here's where we're going to start. We're going to start by you beginning to think about where you want to be, especially when it comes to money. Okay? Where do you want to be? Now, I'm not psychic, but I've worked with enough people that I can probably identify some of the things you want when it comes to money. So here's where I want you to have your fingers on the keyboard and be ready to interact with me, because I'm going to just rattle off a few things that most people want. Let's see if I'm on track with you. So if you want to have money left over at the end of the month, you know, more, end that more month than money pattern, type the word extra into the comments, because then I know you want to have extra money. Enough of this, just enough. Let's see how many of you want to have extra money. All righty. Let's see. I'm scrolling down to see the comments. Okay, we got a few extras coming up. If you actually want to have more than extra, you want to have money saved in the bank. Let me see you type the word bank. Yeah, bank or savings. That's great. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, maybe like me, you've got some debt, maybe even a quagmire of debt, credit cards, student loans, car loans, mortgage. Even if you may not be able to imagine it, if you want to be completely debt-free and have all that money that's going to your debt be yours to use, type the words debt-free in the comments. Awesome. Awesome. We got extra, we got bank, we got some debt-free showing up. Great. Now, here's an important one. Because if you're probably like me and the people in my tribe, in that you love people, you love to support people, you love to give to people. You're the person who's going to be there to take care of people, maybe sometimes too much to your own detriment. So if you want to have money to be able to spend on the people you love and give to causes and organizations that matter to you, type the word give in. Yeah, you want to be generous, have money to give. Awesome, 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 awesome. Now, speaking of giving, if you want to have money that you can spend on yourself for things that you want and enjoy without fear and without guilt, let me see you type in the words, no more guilt, no more guilt. Guilt does not support abundance in the least. Just saying. No more guilt. Awesome. Awesome. We got some coming in. All righty. Here's another place where a lot of people want to go. Maybe you've got all of these things already, but here's the piece. You really want to have money saved and being invested for your future, so you know you'll be okay in the future. If that's you, type the word future. No more guilt, no more mom guilt, Melissa says. Lots of no more guilt. Yeah, a lot of people I work with, it's like we're so big about taking care of others and loving others but when it comes to giving to ourselves, oh, guilt, guilt. Today's pattern is really going to be a big one for you. All right, we got some futures. Finally, last one. If bottom line, what you really want is to feel confident and powerful, relaxed, peaceful, and free with your money and in your life, then simply type the word free. free. All righty, I'm gonna take a drink of water here while I'm watching them come in. We got future, we got no more guilt, we got free. Now, if there's something that I haven't mentioned that you want, please do type it into the comments, because I may come back and share that or respond to that later here. But thanks so much for participating. So now that we know at least a piece of what you want, where you want to be, the question we need to spend the rest of our time answering is, how do you get there? The answer is really, really simple. It's actually a process you engage in all the time. Let me see a yes if you've ever used Google Maps or MapQuest or a GPS system to give you directions to get someplace you've never been before. Let me see a yes if you've done that, because I know you have, right? So, how do you do that? How do you use MapQuest? That's the one I use. You go in and you have to put in where you want to go, your ending location. We've kind of just identified that, your ending location. But if that's all you put in and push give me directions, MapQuest is going to go, yeah, can't do that. I need to know where you're starting from. So the other thing you need to know is you need to know where you're starting from. You put those two things into MapQuest and push the button, and MapQuest or Google Maps is going to give you a route, maybe even a couple of options. You get to choose one, and then you simply follow step by step, one step at a time, and you get where you want to go. It's pretty simple, pretty simple. Believe it or not, that's the exact same process you must engage in to have the financial results you want. You need to know where you want to go. You need to know where you're at. And then you need directions step by step that you can follow. But of all those things, you know the one that stops people in their tracks the most? It's knowing where they're starting from. And what stops people in their tracks around that is this pattern I've been telling you about. It's the number one pattern that robs your power around money and keeps you stuck. Now, why does that keep you stuck? I'm not going to tell you what the pattern is. I'm going to try and do something very technological here, cross our fingers here, and I'm going to try and share with you something on my screen. Now, here's the thing. Really important, you have your fingers on the keyboard, ready to go, because what I'm going to share with you are some letters. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to type the very first thing you see it reads. Just the very first thing. Type that into the chat as fast as you can. Cross our fingers that I can get technology to work here. All righty. Have your fingers ready. Here it comes. Share. Just type it real quick. Let me see what you're seeing. I'm going to stop the share right now and come back to you. Did y'all see it? Did y'all see it? Let me see you type it in. So first of all, I know technology worked. Did you see the screen share? Can't see the share. Okay, let's try one more time here. Okay, here, share. Okay, we're going to give this one more try. This is the one we're going to share. And then we're going to go back here to Be Live, and let's see here. Ah, I got it. I think I got the trick. Here we go. Fingers ready. Can you see it now? There you go. I did it. Woo! All righty. Type the very first thing you see. All righty. I think you're seeing it now. I'm going to take a drink of water, say a prayer that technology worked. What does it read here? Not getting any comments. It's showing that it's showing. Yes, it worked. Awesome. Awesome. So I'm going to stop the share of that. You're back to just me, I think. Awesome. So what I'm seeing is a lot of people saw I am nowhere. Some people saw I am now here. Now, I'm going to share it one more time just so I know I can do it. Ooh, isn't that funny? I can do it again. Awesome. Now let's look at this together real quick. When you look at this screen and you see or think the words, I am nowhere, just type into your comments, what happens to your energy? What happens to your sense of power? What happens to your sense of motivation or hope or possibility when you see or think, I am nowhere? If you're like most people, I know you're typing right now, your sense of power just tanks. Your energy just tanks. It's like flat line, no motivation, no power. Why bother? I'm nowhere. Okay? But now let's look again. Some of you saw this first. The same letters also say, I am now here. And what happens when you see and think the words, I am now here? Now what happens to your energy? Now what happens to your sense of power or motivation? Well, compared to nowhere, it comes back up. It's like you actually have some energy. You have some power. Yes, you following me? You might be willing to take an action to do something. Okay, back to just me again. All righty? So here's the thing. When you can look at the screen and see the words, I am now here, or think I am now here, that's a very neutral statement. You're not saying that now here is good or bad. You're not saying it's right or wrong. You're not saying you should or shouldn't be there. You're just claiming like it's where I'm at. You may not even like being there, but you're simply neutrally saying, I am now here. Now, in contrast, when you look at and see and think the words, I am nowhere, can you all sense a little bit of the implied judgment in that? Like, oh, I'm nowhere, bad, wrong, shouldn't be here. And that's what has your power drain away. That's what has you tank and have no motivation. It's that judgment. Judgment will keep you stuck and rob you of your power every time. It will create unnecessary struggle. It's what has people that I work with not know where they're starting from. They can't put in that starting address on MapQuest because they got judgment about it. They shouldn't be here. It's bad or wrong. And that judgment tanks their motivation, tanks their power, has them feel guilty, has them feel ashamed, has them be afraid. And then what sometimes happens is we have so much judgment about where we're at, even though we're not really clear on it, that then we put a lot of energy into trying to hide it so that nobody will know. I know this one. I have lived this one. And what has us put all that energy into trying to hide it or pretend we're not where we're at in debt or not making enough money and all that sort of stuff is our judgment. And so we have all this energy going to our judgment instead of going towards what steps we need to take to get where we want to be. Judgment. For you to claim your money power, no matter what your current financial reality is, the very first step for you is to practice dropping judgment and just being neutral. You don't have to like where you're at, but you do have to know where you're at. You have to be able to say, I am now here. Now here's where I want to be. So what steps can I take? Making sense? Awesome. Now comes the question, what steps can you take? All righty, I've gone to MapQuest or my GPS and I've put in my starting location, dropping the judgment. I am now here. I know where I want to be. How do I create a plan? Well, there's a couple of things for you to note about this next part. First of all, I'm going to bet that all of you, if you're trying to get to some place you've never been before, you don't even think a moment before pulling out your GPS or going to Google Maps or MapQuest to like put in where you want to be, where you're starting from, and get directions. It's just something you do. I'm also pretty clear you probably don't judge yourself because you do that. I'm so bad. I'm such a loser because I have to use Google Maps to figure out how to get to this place. You don't judge yourself for using GPS or Google Maps. Same thing is true around your money. You willingly go for outside support to get directions to a location you're driving to. It's important that you do that around your money as well. And to do that, yes, I'm clear, you might have to drop your judgment about where you're at. But really, to get where you want to go, you need to look outside you for support. You need something that has information or knowledge that you currently don't have, that has a different perspective. Think about it. Google Maps has a satellite perspective. You got these satellites out in space. They can look down and see the whole route and pick the best route for you. But you can't do that because you're on the ground and all you can see is what's in front of you. Okay? So if you have judgment about asking for support or getting guidance, that's the first judgment for you to drop. And just accept, I am now here. Now, the other really important part about this plan and how do you get from where you're at to where you want to be is along the way, you have to continue to know where you're at without judgment. You may have to recalculate along the way like GPS does. But even more important is I want you to recognize this. You're now here. Where you're at right now is more than a configuration or algorithm of how much money you have in the bank and how much debt you have and all of that sort of stuff. You're now here is also an internal place. One of the natural laws and one of the oldest principles of success and personal growth says, and spiritual growth says, that our internals create our externals. So your current now here is not just a function of like your financial data. Your now here is also a current set of beliefs or patterns that may be conscious or subconscious to you that influence the actions you take with money and that influence your results. It's like you have an internal thermostat. If your internal thermostat is set for 60, then of course the temperature in the room is going to be 60. That's just how it works. If you want the temperature in the room to be 70 so you don't freeze, then the thermostat needs to be set for 72. Not 72 as in the number, 70 also. So when you're starting to think about how do you get from where you are to where you want to be with your money, it's a twofold process. It's about knowing where you're at in terms of tangible, measurable results, but also what's your internal thermostat setting. And to get where you want to be financially, you also have to get to a new place internally. This is why it's not simply a process of like tools or apps or learning skills. If you've tried to have a budget and do a budget and follow a budget, if you've tried to make more money, I've done that one. If you've tried to spend less money, if you've done all these mechanical things and it hasn't really gotten where you wanted to go, it's probably because you weren't simultaneously addressing the now here internally and creating the new now, the future here internally as well. And in this whole process of working on both the internal and the externals, the number one pattern that you must drop is judgment, because it will rob you of your power every time. And instead, practice clarity and acceptance. So how's this landing for you? Are you getting why this is so important for us to stop judging, to just claim the truth with clarity? And then we can, if we open up to support and a perspective other than the one we can see, we can find a route to get from where we want to go, where we are to where we want to go. And then it's just step by step by step. Yeah. I'm seeing dropping judgment is a positive thought, light bulb in my brain. I love it. So this is the pattern I wanted to share with you. Now, I'm clear you can probably get that this is just a small piece of all that I would love to share with you, all the ways I might want to support you. What is required for you to get from where you're at to where you want to be, both externally and internally? So if this has resonated with you, if this has inspired you, maybe given you some energy and some hope and some encouragement that, oh, maybe I can, then I just want to offer you and encourage you to take a next step. And here's a next step towards where you want to be, dropping the judgment and reaching out for support. A few months ago, I created a longer webinar. It's a 90-minute webinar. It's the Claim Your Money Power kind of like starter program. And that recording is available for you to access right away, right now, today for free. Okay. And it's always available for free, but I would encourage you to access it right now. So like if this has started a little fire burning in your heart, that webinar can add some kindling to the fire and keep it burning. You'll learn in that webinar what it really means to claim your money power and why it matters so much. You'll also begin to be able to identify your symptoms and your behaviors that are the sign you're giving your power away around money, so you can stop that. In that 90-minute webinar, you'll also begin to recognize some of those internals, those underlying things, beliefs and patterns that cause you to act in a disempowered way around money. And now you can begin to address the real cause of your money struggles. And more than anything, by the end of that money webinar, I think you're going to see new possibilities, new routes you can take to step out of the rat race of struggle and pressure and fear and scarcity you've been in around money, and really step into a life and a bank account that you enjoy. So if that's something that it sounds like, oh, that's the next step, I want to support you, you can access that recording here. Just go to the website, claimyourmoneypower.com. And you will find, just follow the instructions, read about it, and you can access the recording there. Absolutely free. Now, just a quick note, because I know we're just coming up on time for this webinar. When you go to that page, you will also see information about another step you could take where I could support you even further. You'll see that on that website, you could apply for a free discovery session with me. That's a one-on-one video call we'll have together. And I would encourage you to do this if you are really, really serious. It's like, you know what? Enough. I have tried to do this myself. I've tried to fix it myself. I've tried to not let anybody know, take care of it, hide it. I'm just tired. It's not working. Like, uncle, I give up. Just show me those step-by-step path that I can take, both internally and externally. Because if that's where you're at, you might be a good fit for a 16-week intensive coaching program I offer called Claim Your Money Power, the Claim Your Money Power coaching program. Okay. And in that discovery session, here's my commitment. We're going to have a conversation. I'm going to ask questions, and we're going to be trying to discover like what's going on with you around money. What are some of the underlying internals that have created this? Where do you want to be? And what's going to be the best path for you to get there? That may be to work with me in my Claim Your Money Power program. It may not be. The whole purpose of that discovery session is for me to support you to discover the path you can take so you can get from where you are now to where you want to be. So that's another opportunity available. Just wanted to explain that before you go to that page. Needless to say, when I work with people for 16 weeks intensively one-on-one, I can only work with so many people. That's just a function of my own time. So always the spaces in that program are limited. Anybody who comes into that program first must go through applying for the discovery session. We have this call. I'm only going to work with people who are absolutely ready. And I'm clear that program can give you exactly what you need. All righty. So there we go. The number one pattern that robs you of your power around money and in other places is the judgment you have about where you're at, and from that, the judgment you apply to yourself. You know what? We're human. We have things that we need to learn. We have places where we need to grow and develop and expand. We have things inside of ourselves, beliefs that we need healing around. That's just the truth for all of us. Okay? There's no need to judge yourself. Instead, use whatever's going on in your life right now that's not working as an opportunity for you to claim your God-given power and your God-given worth. Your money doesn't measure you. It's meant to support you. And if it hasn't to this point, then it's just a question of letting yourself get the support you need so that money can support you to live the life you were created to live. So that's what I had to share with you today. Now, as promised, I want to circle back and check out some comments. If I can get my mouse to work here, it's not scrolling down to comments here. Oh, there we go. Cool. Laura says, be my GPS. I'd love to. Tell me more, Susie. There you go. It's hard to know how to drop judgment when it's all I've ever known. Yeah. So here's the thing. Don't try and drop judgment, because if you're trying to drop judgment, you're still focusing on judgment. Practice accepting truth. Just accepting truth. Accepting, I am now here. You cannot like it. You can go, I hate it that I'm here, and I am now here. So rather than try and drop judgment, just practice accepting truth, accepting what's so, accepting your temporary state or situation. Okay, that's one thing that will support you. Check in to see if there's any other comments. Hey, before you all sign off, I'd love it if you would just drop in. Gives me some great feedback. Like, what's one aha or a kernel that you got from this webinar that was really powerful for you? Maybe it was something new, or maybe it was something you knew, but you needed to be reminded of. I would just love to hear whatever your takeaway, one of your takeaways or ahas from this webinar. Please take a moment and type them into comments. If I don't reply to them now live, I'll go back afterwards and reply to them in responding to your comments as well. But I just want to grab a drink of water before we all sign off, see if anybody's typing any ahas or takeaways or questions right now. It looks like I've got them all covered so far. Yeah, thank you so much for being here, for engaging. You know what? There could be somebody in your life who's got a lot of judgment about where they're at with money, and maybe is trying to hide it and not let anybody know and pretend. And so if you feel called, I would invite you to share this video on your Facebook page, because then they could watch the video without anybody knowing. So they'd feel like safe, and then they could be empowered with what you've just learned. So thank you for being here. Drop judgment. Judgment doesn't do you any good. You all got it. Practice acceptance. Practice loving yourself right where you're at. Blessings on your day. Thanks again for being here. Bye-bye.